Tim, moving on to energy policy, because we are in election year and both parties have unofficially kicked off their campaigns. So it's a time for trading political barbs. What are your thoughts right now about what's coming out of the coalition about the nuclear energy policy?
This is terrible policy for Australia. It's bad for Australians. It weakens Australia. And it weakens our future industrial capability. This is terrible, a piece of work. Reckless, poorly thought through. We know that for Australian households, the moment that Peter Dutton's elected, electricity prices, on top of what's already happened in electricity prices, up by $1,200 per household per year. That's because of all of the additional cost that is incurred in the electricity system because the investment will disappear in our electricity system, and that will be felt by ordinary households straight away. But what we've also discovered, for those of us who care about our manufacturing sector, is the whole premise of this costings from Peter Dutton, released on the eve of Christmas, is all about a smaller economy, a less productive economy that uses less electricity. He's based his whole nuclear strategy, his whole nuclear reactor strategy, on what's called the AEMO progressive change scenario. And what that sees is those big manufacturing firms that are big users of electricity disappearing from the Australian economy. His plan for nuclear costs jobs in energy-intensive manufacturing straight away between 2025 and 2030. That's core to his plan. It's an absolute betrayal of Australian manufacturing workers and regional communities.
But Tim, Labor also gets criticised for not bringing down energy bills enough, and also fears that too much emphasis on renewables in the future may mean unreliable power supply.
Well, we're building the lowest cost, most reliable energy system for Australians and Australian business. We started it on day one. Under the previous government, what we'd seen was disinvestment in the Australian electricity system, which has made the electricity system less functional. So dysfunctional, in fact, that in the lead up to the last election, the then Energy Minister, Mr Taylor, hid from Australians that electricity prices were about to go up by 16%. Now, we've had the war in Ukraine. We've had challenges in the energy sector. But energy prices are down now because of two things, I should say there's downward pressure on energy prices because of two things. One is that the government's building the electricity system of the future, renewables plus storage, low cost, reliable. But secondly, our energy relief packages, which have been opposed by Peter Dutton and the opposition, have provided households with support to support them navigating what have been some pretty challenging cost of living pressures. We're making progress on these issues. We're building the electricity system of the future for households and for business and for good jobs. It would be a disaster for Australian households, $1,200 every year, but even worse for Australian businesses, the end of many good jobs in regional communities, particularly in manufacturing, if Peter Dutton's elected this year.
To your portfolio, which is Future Made in Australia, can you quickly tell us what is in store for 2025? Because sometimes the strategy and the goals seem a bit nebulous.
Well, it's the biggest pro-manufacturing package in Australian history. $22.7 billion worth of tax incentives, using the tax system to encourage investment from the world's best manufacturers to manufacture here in Australia, whether it's green iron, green steel, in those regional communities where we can process critical minerals so that we're not just exporting ore offshore at the lowest possible value, but we're adding value here in Australia. There's a broad program of reindustrialising the Australian economy, of rebuilding our manufacturing sector so that we can not just provide good jobs in regional communities and our outer suburbs, but also so that Australia can face the challenges of the future with confidence. This is a big nation building program, Future Made
Okay.
in Australia. It's part of our
We
plan to
need
build
another show
Australia's future.
about the
And we
details
need
of the
we need
strategy.
plenty more shows. Very good to talk to you, and good opportunity to talk to your viewers. Thanks for that.